Now, this next one was also announced, or was announced last year. Um, and we got to see more of it. It is Horizon Zero Dawn, which to me is an overly convoluted title, but I don't judge games on titles. um, and it's a game where it seems like you are it seems initially at least that you are living in caveman days. Like you're a scavenger, just trying to a hunter, being a hunter gatherer and just trying to survive. The twist is that all of the animals, or colossal dinosaur type beings, are not animals. They're robots or robotic creatures or whatever whatever it is you want to call them. I'm sure they'll have a name in the game. But this was also demoed live at Sony's conference, and there's some neat things going on. Some of the things that I liked, it seems to play a lot like I want to say kind of like the new Tomb Raider games, maybe even comparable to Metal Gear Solid 5 with all the different options it seems that are open to you. What was really cool is at one point the main character you're playing as, I think she has a name begins with an A, but the main character you play as, she basically takes out, or Aloy, her name is Aloy. Um, she takes out you basically go through like an equipment wheel, but it doesn't pause the game really. All it does is it slowed the game down to basically like a bullet time um, event, for lack of a better term, or an effect where the gameplay slows down long enough for you to make your choice. It doesn't like just keep the game going, almost like a Resident Evil 5 inventory system where you have to go through your inventory system and the game's not paused. You just have to hope you don't get attacked in the meantime. It's not that, but it's also not, gameplay completely shuts down. You can go into your inventory and not have to worry about being attacked. It just slows it down to the point where you can make your selection and then get right back into it, but you can't take too long because you don't have that much time. And I'd love to see, just speaking on that design for a moment, I'd love to see more games do stuff like that. As much as I love Resident Evil 4, I just love the whole, it's like, oh, I'm cornered. Well, let me pause the game, take a look at my briefcase here. What's the best weapon that's going to get me out of this situation here? Let me think. Oh, I appreciate you villagers leave me alone here for a minute while I contemplate this. Um, you know, it's that game logic that I'm such a fan of at times, but this seems to be a pretty elegant solution to this. But I assume you watched the demo.
I did, and I've been following this game for a while, and I was really sad when it didn't come out um, between now and last year's E3 because this was a game that honestly could have made me get a PS4. I was very interested in this game, especially for the story and how it just is, and now seeing gameplay for it, it really just makes me really want to go out and get a PS4. I just do a lot of these games. But did you see the trailer for it last year?
Yeah, it was really quick. It was just basically that reveal that it's like, oh, she's hunting machine animals. That looks kind of interesting. This is a new direction. But yeah, I remember that from last year.
Yeah, they released a few trailers. One of them was kind of like the telling of the story behind this game. It's pretty much like that whole concept of what if man just started like getting so technologically advanced that we ended up uh, not ended up, but like things started moving faster than we could, and then they started to take over. This is kind of like we developed machines that could pretty much like harvest things for us, and pretty much do like farming and all these different things, like find oil and stuff.
Matrix.
And they would
It's
get all
the
this stuff.
Matrix.
I'd actually be really sad if it was like the Matrix. Uh, but pretty much the machines started getting more and more aggressive and not more advanced, but they started to get a kind of intelligence of they started acting on their own and pretty much drove man into this kind of like a Stone Age type feel. But this is like in the future. Just like I think like 1,000 years have passed since then. Like, and the main character, Aloy, which kind of sounds like alloy. She's pretty much going on like this journey to figure out like where the machines originated from. And from what the trailer showed, it showed like a city, and like time was moving really really fast, and like these giant skyscrapers were just becoming like destroyed and covered in like jungle, and just like trees and stuff. And I think eventually you might get to like a city like that, but pretty much like these machines were being used by humans in the past to pretty much do their labor. And then eventually they started to get more animalistic, and they ended up taking over, driving man into like a Stone Age type setting, which is why they wear the clothes that they do wear, and they also have it's kind of like a mixture of like future and Stone Age weaponry. Like her bow is like clearly not made of a branch and some twine.
It's
And
definitely got some extra stuff going on
yeah,
to
and she
it.
was also able to like hack one of the animals and make it like rideable,
Yeah.
which that was really cool. And I'm looking forward to like what kind of animals you can mount, because if you could mount one of those like giant T-Rex looking things
Hmm.
and just start wrecking everything, that would be so cool. But I'm really looking forward to this game. And this is the second gameplay trailer that they've released. Well, it was this one, and then the first one that came out last year at E3, which showed her stalking the like kind of like lion, panther type robots, just killing them and like trying to get the supplies that they've been harvesting, like the little like gooey sacks. And then the giant T-Rex thing coming out of nowhere. You see that again, although this is completely different. She starts in a village, and then she's pretty much going on her journey to find out
Right.
like where all this began. Um, and then something's corrupting the machines, and it's an older model of machine. And I think it's kind of cool, just to see that like something that's even more ancient, like these things like evolved in a sense.
Hmm.
It's not like the same type of machine, and it could be like almost like a Skynet thing, kind of like there's something that's like remaking these into like newer, better versions. But there's also like older models running amok, um, and some defecting others. But I'm really looking forward to this game.
Yeah, it's not just going to be Far Cry Primal, but with machines
Yeah.
as animals. And two other things that really stuck out to me about this gameplay demo that they did. The animal that she is able to hack and then ride, she gets into an encounter with a larger beast in the middle of a village, and this thing keeps trying to like pounce on her, like jump really high, and so you have to keep moving, or she has to keep moving to avoid being hit. And she actually whistles. This was neat. She whistled for her ride, and it didn't come immediately. So she whistles a second time, and that's when it's kind of, coming over to her so she can get on it and get some mobility going. And um, she got on it pretty quick, like kind of like mid stride. That in and of itself was cool, but the next thing that happened really blew my mind because she was kind of in a thicket of some, I think they were birch trees, but they were a tree, and I thought, okay, how's the game gonna, is it gonna play like other games you've played where you basically are riding a horse, and will this thing kind of like automatically like kind of buck and dodge and weave between these trees? Nope, it just knocks them down because it's that large. And I was like, oh my goodness, that makes sense because this thing is so huge. So there was that, and then there was also she starts using some kind of weapon that's like a harpoon gun that basically ties this thing down so that it can't jump anymore.
That was cool.
And I was just like, okay, so there's going to be, it's not just going to be, hey, just, choose a weapon, roll with it, whichever one you like, it's going to work on everything. It doesn't look like they're going to go in that direction. It looks like they're going to be like, no, you have to use strategy here. You have to find out what works best against which enemy. And I like games that do that actually make you think.
Yeah, like in the beginning of it, she was fighting some type of like crab type collection robot, and she has her bow out, and then she switches it for like this like EMP slingshot
Mm-hmm.
and starts like stunning them, and it clearly does some damage.
There's weak
Um,
points she's aiming for,
yeah, and that's another cool thing is that
which she didn't see immediately. She had to like take an extra step to or do something else to
yeah,
see
she was
that.
able to like see like there's a weak point to this thing. And then when she went to go fight this giant monster in this village, she I don't know if it's like a maybe like a thing that's in her ear that like transforms over her eye or something. Clearly something happens, kind of like an eagle vision type thing, except it gives her like pointers onto like how to defeat these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed that this one was like weak to fire, so
Yeah.
she uses some like fire arrows or some explosive arrows. Um, so and there's also crafting. She set up some type of like firebomb trap,
Mm-hmm.
which something that was interesting. It didn't set off immediately. She had to shoot an
Shoot it.
arrow at it,
Yeah.
which I think is cool. And clearly in a game like this, like certain robots are going to give you certain things, and if you're scavenging for certain things to create or craft certain things, when you make a trap and you place it somewhere, and the game knows exactly what you're doing, so it's like, hey, I'm going to throw this thing into that trap, so it just blows up, and you don't get what you want. It kind of makes it to where like you can use these traps, and if something like walks over it, it's not going to set it off. Like you ultimately have like the kill switch to set it off. So when the moment comes to where the thing that you want goes over it, you can trigger it whenever you want. I think that's kind of cool. I don't know if that's exactly what they were going for, but I can see like that being one use for a trap system like that. Maybe there's some automatic traps, but there was a big crafting system, uh, and I do also like the slow down, not like immediately stopping, just like everything slowing down,
Right.
kind of like with the Fallout 4's VATS system, where everything used to just like stop, and you were just able to like do everything. But in Fallout 4, when you use your VATS, like everything just kind of goes into slow mo, and they can still hurt you. So you need to like act fast. And there's some skill into it now. It's not just like an easy way to kill things, even though it still is. But there is some like strategy into it. Just like for this, there's clearly going to be like some strategy and some quick time thinking. But I'm I really want this game to be out now. It looks so good. It's kind of got like a Dragon Age Origins just look to it, but just a better, like more stylized, more everything. And then robots.
Robots make everything better.
Legend of Zelda.